Yes, those battling Milwaukee Brewers did it again, found a way to get to that lousy Rockies bullpen, and they finally win in a place that hasn't been too kind to them. We'll get to all that, including how did Dallas Keuchel fare in his second start, all that and more next year in Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. My name is Chuck Freeman, longtime sportscaster here in the state of Wisconsin. Love being the host of Locked On Brewers. Appreciate all the support you all give me each and every day. And we'll tell you how to get the podcast with all the different platforms a little bit later on here in the show. After another Brewers come from behind win. Their last 6 wins, they've come from behind and won. And on the season so far, that is a 26 come from behind wins. Found a way to cash in yet again, the Milwaukee Brewers. Just keep battling these guys. I just can't say that enough. They find a way to win. They battle. You know, when things is just sometimes when things don't seem to work, they peck. They do the little things, their team speed, moving guys over, you know, not making a lot of mistakes, sacrifice flies, and they find a way to win this game. Like I said, they come from behind win their last 6 wins. Now the Rockies bullpen, absolutely terrible. So the Brewers are down 3-2 going in the top of the 9th inning. But the Rockies, man, you look at each and every one of those guys they've thrown in there the last couple of nights. Everybody just taking their turns against that bullpen throughout the season. You look at team batting averages against some of these guys, 320, 305, 297. It's like, okay, these guys, who are these guys? Now, the Mears guy who came in the top of the 9th inning, I mean, he was good, but he couldn't find the strike zone. But credit the Brewers on that. Credit Garrett Mitchell getting down in an 0-2 count, battling, laying off the high pitches, and forcing his way to a walk. How about the big walk by Brice Turang, 10-pitch at bat? Checked his swing. Maybe he was about a half a millimeter or so about going all the way and getting that strikeout right there. Maybe the pitch was a strike anyway. Who knows? But Turang worked a walk. Monasterio leads off the top of the 9th inning with an infield single. And we're rolling, bases loaded. Adames down 3-2. And I could just hear Twitter at that moment. I could hear it. Because I know if we were to poll people on Twitter, would Willy Adames come through in that situation? Most of the people would have said, nah, Willie's not going to come through. And he got down 0-2 like Willie likes to do. Gets down in the count. But Willie came battling back, hit the sacrifice fly to center, tied the game. Down 0-2, Willie gets a sacrifice fly, ties the game. Did what he had to do in that at bat. And then Rhys Hoskins, he gets down 0-2 in the count, eventually gets hit with a pitch. And that forces in the eventual game-winning run. Megill closes it out in the 9th inning. We're going to talk about Megill a little bit later on in the show, the Megill-Williams tandem that we could have brewing. But in this game, Brian Hudson gave up the go-ahead run in the bottom half of the 8th inning. Rarity for him, gave up a rocket. Although that runner maybe shouldn't have got down to second base, that go-ahead runner. Contreras tried to backdoor that runner at first base, try to pick him off, threw it into right field, allowed the runner to go to second base, and the RBI base hit. Doyle from the Rockies, by the way, just killing the Brewers in the series. 3 home runs, 2 doubles so far in the series. But the bottom line is the Brewers in that top half of the 9th inning, when I said they got to the Rocky bullpen threw 55 pitches in the top half of the 9th inning. Might have been 56, but 55, 56. It was a lot. And that's half of what a game is usually thrown. I mean, sometimes a team will combine for 100 or so pitches. They threw 55 in the 9th inning alone. And the Brewers, again, worked out those walks with Turang and Garrett Mitchell. And as Murphy said, a couple of weeks ago after a win like that, they said, you know what? Hey, it's still offense. May not look pretty, but they find a way to get it done. The Brewers just keep on winning. There's no excuses. Guy like Monasterio's hitting 195, comes to the plate in the top half of the ninth inning, gets on with that base hit. And then they continue to battle. Garrett Mitchell, I like what he's done so far. He's made an impact in both games that he's been back so far. Both games. Started in center field, batted in the fifth hole. We all wondered where Mitchell was going to, get his first start in the outfield. I kind of thought it was going to be on Tuesday night, and it certainly was. I thought, like I said, I thought Monday night they'd throw him in there right in the fire on Monday, but he did pinch hit in the middle of that game. But he got in and he started, and he played the whole game Tuesday night, but got down in the 0-2 count, worked a walk. Brewers get the win. Brewers get a huge win, and now Game 3 of the series coming up. It's gonna, after we get through with the Rockies, man, these are going to be 4 tedious games, I feel. 4 tedious games against a team that is not very good, but they just battle the Brewers. They just give the Brewers all sorts of fits, those Colorado Rockies. When we get back, we'll talk about Dallas Keuchel and his second start. Was it good enough for a third start? Kind of thought he's going to get a third start anyway, but we'll talk about a second start coming up next. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Get us on Google, Spotify, Apple. We're on all the major downloads, wherever you download your podcast. We are there. We are there every day, Monday through Friday, talking Brewers. Although Friday, we will not have an episode because it's the 4th of July. Thursday night, we're taking Friday off, so we will not have an episode on Friday. Just so you know, it's a holiday anyway, and we're gonna do one on Wednesday night for Thursday's show for Thursday for the 4th of July, just in case there's some 4th of Julyers out there who get bored with some, family reunion or whatever, or the picnic, or the relatives are over, the neighbors are over. You want something to do on the 4th of July? I'm gonna have that Locked On Brewers podcast downloaded in early morning hours on the 4th of July. But anyway, get us on YouTube, our growing YouTube page, Chuck Freeman. Go to YouTube, search Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. It's all free. And wherever you download your podcast audio versions, whether it's Google, Spotify, Apple, we're there as well. All the content is all free here on Locked On Brewers. We'll get the Dallas Keuchel coming up next, here on Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. Booking.com. Booking.com. Maybe you're going to go on a road trip, maybe see the Brewers play this summertime, maybe take a road trip out there, maybe a golfing trip. I just check out Scottsdale once in a while to see how it is in the midsummer, because I like to go out there in the wintertime and all that, and golf in the off season. But in the summertime, not so much. But if you're thinking about making a road trip, lots of good places to go yet for maybe you want to go to Wrigley a little bit later on this month. Go to Booking.com. Booking.com is the way to go. They have hotel, they got bed and breakfasts, they got vacation rentals, they got resorts, so much more on Booking.com. Maybe you're looking for a golf resort, look for it on Booking.com. You might just find your perfect stay, even in the rival hometown. Maybe you might want to go to Chicago. You might find a nice place to stay down there. Again, wherever you're going to go this summer, Booking.com is there for you. And they have all your accommodations. It's easy to find. They make it real simple for you. But this show brought to you by Booking.com, 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 and everything you need to know about booking your vacation this summer. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Good to have you along here. Short week for some of you guys out there. Maybe you took this whole week off. I heard some guys who messaged me on my Twitter account, Chuck Freeman, FREIMUND. We're watching it on their TV while it was raining tonight before the Brewer game up north. Had a guy messaged me from Wild Rose, Wisconsin. Another guy from Shawano on Shawano Lake messaged me. He said it was too wet to go out fishing, so he was watching Locked On Brewers on his 32-inch screen. Thanks a lot. Always great hearing those stories about Locked On Brewers, getting you ready for these. Well, they're not really late night games. They're starting at 7:40. The Brewers and Rockies. Let me just check real quick for Wednesday's game. I think that might be a little earlier start. I am going to check it real quick here. The Brewers and Rockies coming up at 7:40. I think Thursday's a little earlier start, like 7:10. 7:40. You get it on Sirius XM, the Sirius XM app. Search Brewers. You hit all 162 of the Brewers broadcast, the home team broadcast on Sirius XM. Do that, and of course, when you're driving out of the ballpark late at night, check out those West Coast games as well. They have all the baseball games on Sirius XM. All right, Dallas Keuchel, you ask. How did it go? Well, I'll tell you by the second inning. I know a lot of you out there, including me truly, thought that, I don't know how much Dallas Keuchel is long for his Major League Baseball career, because second inning, he was giving up some rockets. Gave up a home run, gave up another almost home run, gave up another rocket deep left. So he was getting some hard hit balls. And I was like, geez, he's not fooling anybody tonight. His command really wasn't there. His control wasn't really great, but he battled too, just like the rest of the Brewers. He battled to pitch his team into the sixth inning. Dallas Keuchel is here to suck up innings eater. They want him to get innings, get guys out, eat up some innings so we can get to the bullpen. And he did just that. If this one goes the wrong way early, the Brewers are further taxing their bullpen. They didn't need to do that. But Dallas, wasn't real pretty, wasn't glamorous by any means, but he pitched into the sixth inning. I thought the guy was going to be out of there by the third inning, the way things were going, the way he was giving up some rockets in the second inning, those hard hit balls. Again, the control was not great. Murphy had a great comment after the game, said, I remember watching him pitch as a teenager. This is Murphy. This is a 65-year-old Murphy. I remember watching him pitch as a teenager. He was affected then, and he still got it going. Yeah, Keuchel got himself out of some messes. And I was thinking before the whole Dallas Keuchel experiment that he was going to get 3 starts. And if it was 3 or 4 starts, kind of like Julio Turang last year, Julio Turang, he pitched like 78 innings. But remember, he was really good. And they kept him off the postseason roster. But Julio gave him some big innings last year. And I'm kind of hoping Dallas is going to do that. But if he came out and pitched 3 rough runs, 3 rough starts, I'm not so sure he would have got a 4th one. Okay? But he didn't pitch a bad second one. Second inning didn't look good, but he bounced back, and he earned himself a 3rd and possibly a 4th start as well. They need him. He's here out of necessity. They got him. And, I'm not expecting this guy to go 7 innings. Heck, I didn't even expect him to go 6 innings tonight. I'm just looking for 4 or 5 innings out of him. I set the bar low. There's certain guys you set the bar low, and this isn't Dallas Keuchel of 2015. The guy could go 8-9 innings. This is Keuchel of 2024, where, he was toiling in AAA, and you're just hoping to get 5 innings. Pitched into the 6th inning. I was surprised they didn't go with Hudson there, and now I know why they didn't use Hudson on Monday night. They used Hudson tonight because I think they were saving him for unless, as a backup plan. I don't think the Brewers were saying that, but I think they wanted to use Hudson. They saved his innings on Monday, and they saved Howie Milner on Monday too, just in case Keuchel had a short start on Tuesday night, which he didn't. But they did go to Hobie in the 6th inning, and then the Hudson. Hudson gave that run in the 8th inning, but he's human. He's human. Still an all-star, in my opinion. He's still an all-star. Another guy who could be an all-star. Could it be Trevor Megill? Could Trevor Megill be an all-star? Could that be possible? Trevor Megill is doing everything possible with the 18 saves on this team. He's doing multiple things. Getting guys 1, 2, 3, getting teams 1, 2, 3, going in there with a calm demeanor and getting outs. Getting outs. That's what we like. Megill, I think what we got here, is we got a 2-headed monster in that bullpen to close out games between Megill and Williams. I mean, look at this. A year ago, you had Devin Williams, and you had Peguero and Uribe and Milner. You had 4 pretty good guys out there. Now, Uribe is gone. He's injured. He was down to AAA anyway. Peguero, he's dipped off a little bit. And Piamps he had last year too. And Piamps is not pitching all that good. We talked about him yesterday on the podcast. But with the 8th inning now, with Megill and Williams, you have 8th and 9th inning covered with those two guys. You have Megill, who could be an all-star closer. You have Williams, who's a defending all-star closer. So the Brewers' 8th and 9th innings right now, if Devin comes back, he pitches like the Devin Williams we know he can pitch. Look at that 1-2 punch at the back of the bullpen, which, again, Devin is due back later on this month. That's a heck of a closeout there. This is like 2011 when they had K-Rod and Axford. Remember when they got K-Rod at the All-Star break? People were wondering, what's going to happen with Axford? It worked out just fine. You had K-Rod and Axford as a duel there in the 9th inning. And I think your best teams, especially teams that could be offensively challenged like the Brewers are, and at one point this year, or not this year, well, at several points this year, but at one point on Tuesday night, they were like 3 for 13 with runners on base, and they were just leaving guys in scoring position once again. They were doing some of that same BS until they finally, poked across those 2 runs in the 9th inning. But Megill and Williams, you could put Williams, if he's coming back, you can put him out and you can take him off that pressure roll and let him ease into things by having him pitch the 7th or 8th. He's eventually going to be your closer, but how can you could take Megill? I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Megill, maybe, he's going to go to the 8th inning guy, but Megill's pitching so good. How could you take him out of the 9th inning role now? But you got Devin Williams as well. Those things always work themselves out. Either way they work it out, I don't care who is closing and who's the 8th inning guy. To me, they're both valuable. I mean, the 8th inning, those outs to me, just as valuable as the hardest outs in baseball. Outs 25, 26, and 27. That being the 9th inning. So I don't know how they want to work it, but all I know is Megill and Williams, whoever the closer is, the other guy is going to have a huge role. And the bottom line is, whatever they can do to help your team win, okay? Doesn't matter who the closer is. There's no glory. And Megill has said this all a while. We interviewed him a couple of weeks ago in front of his locker media. He says, I'm here just to get outs. Whatever I'm doing, 7th inning, 8th inning, he's out of here. I know I'm out there to get 1, 2, 3, get 3 outs in an inning. Great attitude to have. He's not bragging about closing games. He's not talking about being the closer. He doesn't care, at least outwardly. He's doing whatever he can. This Trevor Megill talks about he can do whatever he can to win, to help his team win a game. And I like that. And Williams is the same way. There's a lot of guys on this team. Same way. A lot of guys. These guys are winners. These guys are battlers. And we're battling with young guys too. I was thinking about that tonight too. Went to a place to watch the game tonight, and I was thinking about that on my drive home, my 45-minute drive home. I was thinking, man, it's not like the Brewers are winning with a bunch of old guys out there, all right? A bunch of guys at the end of their careers. They have guys like, their old guys are like Willie Adames, who's going to hit the free agent market. Those are the old guys. Freddie Peralta is the veteran pitcher on this team. And, technically, he'd still be in his arbitration years. This is not an old team. The Brewers are winning, just like last year, winning with a young team. They're developing young guys at the major league level. And, you just look at their crowded outfield spot. You look at, this whole lineup, young guys, Contreras, young guy, acts like a 15-year pro out there. Yeah, is he slumping a little bit? That's fine. He's been so good all year long. Wouldn't trade him at all. Wouldn't want anybody else behind home plate besides William Contreras. The Brewers are doing a lot of great things out there, guys. They really are doing amazing things, and certainly have put themselves in a position. Disappointing loss on Monday night. A one that you wish you had. You battled back to take a lead in that game in the 8th inning. Monday night ended up losing at extra innings, and I thought maybe this might be going to extras again. But Hoskins hit with a pitch, and before that, some great at-bats. Adames with the sac fly, Mitchell, Turang, Monasterio, all great at-bats. And Megill closes it out in the end. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. And when we return, we'll talk about Wednesday's matchup. That's next here on Locked On Brewers. Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. You know, when I go to buy Brewers tickets or Bucks tickets, if I'm going to a Bucks game, or wrestling tickets, I go to Game Time. Game Time lets you choose wherever you want to, wherever your seat is. All you got to look and say, okay, I'll take that seat right there. You punch it up and you'll get a view from where your seat is going to be. And just not sporting events. They have concerts there. I bought Night Ranger tickets off there a couple of weeks ago, early June in Madison. So, but I love going to games. I love covering games. I love going to games, but Game Time's got last minute tickets, flash deals, zone deals, easy to find MLB tickets. The flash deals, you save a lot of money. The zone deals save even more, all in pricing. The seat views, the lowest price guarantee. That Game Time will credit you back 110% of the difference if you find a better price elsewhere. But you need to download the Game Time app, create an account, use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB, and you get $20 off your first purchase. Yes, $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. Create an account, use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB, $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create the account, download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed with Game Time. Hey, I'll tell you another place to go to win some money. This is PrizePicks. PrizePicks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app, over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on PrizePicks, it's you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less 2 to 6 player stats and watch the winnings just roll in. Get in on all the daily action with your friends. Become a PrizePicks community today. Let's say you want Yelich over a certain amount of hits. The guy gets a hit every day, I feel. Maybe you want Contreras under. Well, yeah, you put those together, anywhere between 2 and 6 players, you could turn $10 into $1,000. Just like that. You could win up to 100 times your money. Download the PrizePick app today. PrizePicks app today. Use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Your first deposit match up to $100. LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks for that deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. It's that easy with PrizePicks. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers. And down the stretch we come here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. I think Trevor and I were going to talk about Rhys Hoskins. I was looking at Rhys. I was looking at the contract numbers, and he has the option for next year for like $18 million. And he's got the option. It's not a mutual option. It's a mutual option for the third year. But there's like a $4 million buyout if he chooses not to have that option. I don't know. Rhys is my guy. But we'll talk more about that coming up on Tuesday night on Locked On Brewers. I see Johnny Cueto is available. He's out of his deal with the Rangers. Johnny Cueto, is that another guy the Brewers will hunt down? That's a Brewers move right there, huh? Going down and get 78-year-old Johnny Cueto to pitch for you. That's something that the Brewers would do. They do it with Dallas Keuchel. We'll see if Cueto is on the docket coming up soon here. Colin Ray pitches against Dakota Hudson. Dakota Hudson, the one-time St. Louis Cardinal. So it's not going to be easy against that guy coming up on Wednesday night. And the Brewers, I said this on Monday night's podcast. I said, if the Brewers can just split this series, all right, well, they won tonight. They won Tuesday night. So now I'm getting greedy. Let's take 3 or 4. No off day on this road trip. A lot of teams had an off day on Monday. Brewers are playing straight through. They won't have another off day until next Monday when they get back from Los Angeles. So that'd be a nice little day off for them once they get back from the West Coast, because they've been on the West Coast a couple of times now. But so they'll play Wednesday and Thursday against Colorado, and Wednesday's game, of course, Sirius XM, the XXM app, search Brewers, and you'll get all 162 of the Brewers games. So after the game on Thursday, hopefully they take 3 or 4. They go down to they move over to Los Angeles in a big weekend series with the Dodgers, who I'm having hopes that the Brewers can catch for that second playoff spot. Dodgers came from behind and beat Cincinnati on, was it Cincinnati? No, it was Arizona. It was Arizona. They beat Arizona. Cincinnati beat the Yankees on Tuesday night. Yeah, the Dodgers beat Arizona. Came from behind, bottom of the ninth inning. I think Freddie Freeman was the hero in that game. So anyway, Dodgers coming up this weekend. We'll talk more about that coming up later on in the week. Hey, that's going to do it for the show. Thank you, everybody. Download our app. Or not download our app. Download our podcast on whatever app is your podcast app. Google, Spotify, Apple, wherever you download your podcast. Please, we're the number one podcast on the internet, Brewer podcast, because of you great Brewer fans out there. Hey, man, we're all in this together. We're trying to take this team home, not only to a division title, but get to the World Series, win a playoff series. Got a long way to go. We're halfway home. Got a lot of work to do yet. We're all in this one together. Hey, you go to YouTube, search Locked On Brewers. If you subscribe on the audio version, please hit me up on YouTube. Do me a favor, hit me up on YouTube. Search Locked On Brewers. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell as well on Locked On Brewers. Follow me on Twitter. Love getting your DMs, your messages. If you're reading us, you're watching us up north this weekend, love to hear from you on that as well. If you're watching your cabin, you got some bad weather this weekend, or you're trying to get away from your relatives or the neighbors you might not be able to stand. I love my neighbors. But I'm saying there might be some of you who just can't stand your neighbors and need to duck out of that holiday party and watch a little Locked On Brewers. Hey, I'm there for you. That's going to do it. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Have yourself a good Wednesday, everybody. We'll see you on the 4th.